Hey YouTube, Crossfade here again, this time with another deck profile again on Dabi. We're rounding out our Dabi series with the death version of this list. Before I kind of keep going, please visit unfunstuff.com. Please be sure to go and help support him on buying any of your cards that you need, singles or anything like that, especially if you want to build this deck. I'm not going to really go too far into anything. We're just going to go and get right into the deck profile. We're going to start off with our 3 copies of Evil Gaze. Again, this is kind of the same reason why I ran it in the Fire version. It's just a good card. It's just Selective Destroy. And we get to pair it with Night Watch because we're off of Death to be able to cancel some of their abilities possibly. Into the attack lineup, we're running 20 attacks in the deck. We're running 4 copies of Long Lasting Explosion. I love this card in Dabi. I think it's great. It essentially means that your next thing can get +3/+3 if you're falling with a high attack. Or you can give your next thing +6 damage and then be able to once per game and make a really, really big mid throw that's hitting for 20+ damage pretty easily. We're playing 4 copies of Howitzer Impact Cyclone. This is one of the best cards to follow up your long-lasting explosion with. It makes this a 6 high for 9 at its base, and then you obviously get to get your momentum, and being able to have a powerful attack, possible gain throw as well, just goes a long way. It puts your opponents in a really awkward spot of whether or not they need to blow up their foundations to deal with this attack that has upwards of 30+ damage. Or if they just have to say screw it and let it go off and then try and just possibly live. So great attack. I love it. It also gives you card draw, obviously, which you want on this character. I'm running 4 copies of Brutal Explosion. Again, this is just another, I think this is just another solid card, especially when you're following it up with Long Lasting. This is a 6 high for 7 that combos and makes them have to blow up one of their foundations. And if they happen to be playing a bunch of face downs, this just gets even faster. The powerful one doesn't matter too much because you're not really going to kill somebody with powerful one, but it does come up sometimes if you need to just dump it. Running 3 copies of Touch of Decay. I think this card's super sick because this is just a 4 mid for 7 every single time with stun 1, that if they do decide to completely block it, you just get to add it back to your hand. And so being able to constantly throw 4 mid for 7 at your opponent by only committing a foundation goes a long way. And then if they don't block it, they're taking 7 damage and I'm getting to draw a card. So it feels really, really good. I have 3 copies of Signature Right Swing. This just kind of helps filter the deck. This also adds to our low blocks in the deck as well. It's a great block. Being able to enhance discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards to fuel our discard pile with our foundations, just again, really great thing. I want to be able to have the extra filter. And then I'm running 2 copies of Exploding Pride. I know this is not a high or a mid attack, but I feel like I still need to have some kind of low attack zone pressure. And rather than playing like Howitzer Impact or anything like that, or Corrosive Lunge, I wanted a 4 diff that I could use that also just punishes my opponent for having a bunch of momentum. So it seems like a worthy card to run in. It's a 4 low for 6 in this character that if they block, they lose all their momentum anyway. So this can easily be an 8 damage move. We'll go on to the foundations. I have 4 copies of Excited for Blood. It's my favorite card from set 2 probably. It's the reason why I wanted to play this deck off of Death. Being able to just lose 2 life to draw a card and then be able to also then flip and gain back 4 health if you're a little bit low. Just all around amazing. So yeah, it's one of the 2 4-ofs in the deck. The other one is First Day of Class. We need this card in our deck because we're doing really, really expensive strings of 5s into 5s, or I mean even just a 5 into 4. So being able to guarantee our check on our Impact Cyclones goes a long way. So we're running this at a 4 of. I have 3 copies of Forcing Surrender. Great 1 difficulty low zone foundation. We're regularly comboing, so we can snipe our opponent's momentum if they keep it. And again, it's good anti-clog. 3 copies of Shock Absorption. I think the Death deck is the most defensive one you can possibly run, especially if you end up deciding to run like Naval Laser Beams. So just having some speed reduction on a playable while committed foundation is just great. It's also a good block. 3 copies of Let's Fight Bad Guys. I don't really want to go for the 4. You could probably say to run 4 copies of it because all your attacks are Fury. It's just making the cuts and everything, getting this down to like 63 cards or so. And this is just one of the ones that I ended up cutting. But again, great. It's just +2 speed on a move. 3 copies of Struggling with Study. Again, just another great 1-diff foundation that you can play and lets us block even longer. I've got 3 copies of Tight-Lipped. Please ignore my cat in the background. She is loud and obnoxious. 3 copies of Tight-Lipped. It's good damage pump. It's a 0-diff to be able to build 4 on turn 1. It's a great block. And again, the flipping and foundation for an extra damage can go a long way. And then I've got 3 copies of Surviving the Final. Again, just great 0-diff spam type foundation. Just gets a free -1 speed. It does its work, obviously. Again, it's for the building consistently on turn 1. To round out the foundations, we have a bunch of 2-ofs. I've got 2 copies of Latent Skill. Because I'm running Signature Right Swings in this deck, I don't feel like I need to bump this up to the 3 or 4 copies of the card, because I have extra filter and extra card draw between Latent Skill, Excited for Blood, and Howitzer Impact Cyclone, that I don't think that we need to have a bunch of copies of this card. 2 Supplement Styles. It's just good to have anti-stun, obviously, and this card helps you string out your turns by committing it and then blowing up a foundation to ready. That also helps out your once per game, because then you can fill your discard pile with more foundations, so you can easily get to once per games on turn 3 or even turn 2 sometimes if you get a good build. 2 Night Watches. Obviously the Deadlock form is there. It can pick up our Touch of Decays, our Impact Cyclones, or Brutal Swings, or Brutal Explosions, I'm sorry. But mainly this card's here just because if we have an Evil Gaze in our discard pile, we just get to say no to a non-character enhance, which goes a really long way. 2 copies of Nervous Habit. Again, another little anti-stun, and also just free speed. It's just a good foundation. You could easily cut it though, honestly, to put in something else. And with set 3 releasing, we'll probably get more Death Foundations we can look for, and this might get replaced. 2 Graceful Maneuvers. I don't have 3 because it's a 3 block, and I already have so much speed reduction on all my other cards that I don't need it, but it helps having this extra bit. It lets you give like -4 speed when you're blocking super late in a string. We have 2 copies of Mediator. Again, it's more speed reduction. We have a lot on Death, as it seems, but this also lets us draw a card as well. And there are times where you're playing this card offensively, where you're Evil Gazing your own move and then Mediatoring, so you can draw a card. And obviously, since it says your rivals, your attack doesn't get the -speed, but you still get to draw a card to possibly get that extra attack to kill your opponent. And then Arrogant Disposition. Again, it's just a good card. It's a 1/6. It's a 2-low block. It randomly gives punches -speed, which there's a lot of punch decks. But it's another one of those cards that once we get more foundations, it could easily be cut. And yeah, that is my Dabi deck that I have. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what other decks you want to see have a profile done for them. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also drop over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/crossfite. I stream on there playing kind of whatever I feel like, whether it be My Hero or like Valorant or things like that. But yeah, I will see you guys next week for another deck profile here on the channel. Have a great day.